Now, the greatest radio shows of all time.
Suspense.
The Shadow Node.
Washington calling David Harding, counter-spy.
Classic radio theater.
The Great Gildersleeve.
Fibber McGee and Molly.
Dragnet. Gunsmoke.
The Lone Ranger.
Now, step back into our time machine with your host, Wyatt Cox.
Good evening, friends of the Inner Sanctum.
An hour of crime drama. We start off with Philo Vance, Jackson Beck portraying the detective. This episode originally broadcast on February 7th, 1950. This is entitled The Chicken Murder Case.
That's what I heard, Tommy. That's what I heard, I tell you. Frankie ain't gonna stop until he stops you.
That right, Chick? Oh, what do you know? So Frank Stacy's bringing that feud out into the open.
That's what I heard. What are you gonna do about it, Tommy?
Stop fluttering around. Maybe I'll be able to think. Oh, when did they call you Chick? You act more like a chicken than anybody I ever saw. A 40-year-old chicken. Hey, that's really something.
Well, they don't call me Chick because I act like a chicken. It's because I got a high voice.
Because you're yellow, you're chicken-hearted.
Oh, gee,
Shut
boss.
up. You're not my problem at the moment.
What I told you about Frankie Stacy brought you down, huh?
Not exactly. But it is making me think.
I kind of got an idea he'd lay off if we'd keep away from his territory, boss. That's what's getting him so sore at you.
What he wants doesn't interest me.
Maybe if you two guys could get together, you could work something out. You better do it fast on account of Frankie figures on knocking you off. Anyway, that's what I heard.
I know that's what you heard. Chick, I think I got something.
Yeah, what?
Frank Stacy wants to kill me, but I'm going to see to it that he killed somebody else.
I don't think that would exactly satisfy him.
He isn't going to have any choice in the matter. Chick, I got it.
Huh?
Stacy's going to murder somebody in front of witnesses. Witnesses who'll talk whenever I say the word.
Oh, I see what you mean. You'll get Stacy to knock somebody off, and then hold that over his head like.
Exactly. And he'll do anything I say.
Hey, I gotta hand it to you, Tommy. That's swell. You got somebody picked out for Frankie to knock off?
Yeah, I think so.
Who?
Why, you, of course.
Good shot, Frankie.
It was solid, Eddie, solid. And I'm getting hep to all the angles on this billiard table of mine. I'm sharp, huh?
Sure, Frankie, sure. You glad you bought the table now?
Natch. Only I think I'm going to change the color. I don't like that green business.
All pool tables got green, whatever that is on them, Frankie.
That's the reason I'm going to change the color on mine. I'm going to be different. Keen, that's me. Now back up and watch me make a massé shot.
Quarter says you can't.
Put up or shut up.
I can't do it for both of us.
My money's good. Now shut up while I try this shot. Easy money, Eddie, easy money. We're always making easy money, ain't we?
Sure, but generally I'm on the collecting end, not the donating. That reminds me.
Huh?
Tommy Morrow is still moving in on some of our stores.
Well, he won't be much longer. I'm going to take care of him and that stooge, Chick. Today, maybe. And I'll take care of him solid. I got a plan. Oh,
Want me to get it, Frankie?
never mind. Yeah, Stacy talking.
Frankie, this is Joey.
So?
So about Tommy Morrow. You better work fast, Frankie. I just heard that he's sending Chick Lewis out gunning for you. Straight tip, Frankie.
Yeah, thanks, Joey. I'll remember this.
What was it, Frankie? Anything important?
Could be. Tommy Morrow is sending that stooge that acts like a chicken. You know, that Chick Lewis, out to knock me off.
He's sending Chick? What's he gonna do, peck you to death?
That ain't funny, Eddie.
I'm sorry, boss. What are you gonna do?
Me? I'm gonna call Tommy and make a deal with him later. Right now, I'm gonna try and make a 3-cushion shot with this billiard cue.
You see why I asked you to come to my office, don't you, Vance?
Well, no, Markham. To be perfectly honest, I don't. But a summons from the district attorney is a command appearance for me, so here I am.
I want you to realize what'll happen if the reports I have are true.
That there's a feud between Tommy Morrow and Frank Stacy, and that it's liable to flame into the open at any minute.
That's right. And when that does come out into the open, there's going to be shooting. Only I don't know any way to stop it. Or perhaps you might.
If I were sure that either Morrow or Stacy would wind up being killed, I wouldn't bother about it. We'd be much better off without them. There is a chance, though, that some innocent people might get in the way when their gang guns start.
Yes, I believe that, too. There must be something you can do to prevent a murder, Vance.
My talent lies mainly in solving killings, Markham.
As I well know. We have one possibility of averting bloodshed in this situation. I understand that Morrow and Stacy hate each other, but that they respect each other, too. That they've arranged some sort of a conference.
Find out where the conference is being held, arrest them both, and you have your solution.
We have no case against either of them, not right at the moment, that is. But I'm convinced the conference won't work out, and I'd like to prevent the bloodshed I'm sure will follow.
I understand your feelings. Now, let me see. There's Tommy Morrow and his chief stooge, Chick Lewis, on one side. That's right, isn't it?
Yes, Lewis is a thin, red-headed fellow, looks more like a chicken than he does a man. On the other side is Frank Stacy and his head hoodlum, a character named Eddie the Lug.
Of the Boston of the Lugs, no doubt.
No doubt.
Markham, I realize your predicament, and I thank you for giving me the overall picture of the situation.
So far, I haven't given you any complete picture. It's more like a negative. What do we do about it, Vance?
Nothing, I'm afraid, my friend. We'll just have to wait till we see what the negative develops.
Well, Tommy, here we are. You see any sign of Frank Stacy? I don't see none.
Oh, Chick, I don't see any sign of him either. But he'll be here. This meeting was his idea.
You think he was on the level when he asked you to meet him?
Could be, and then again, maybe this is a gag. You keep me covered all the time I walk up to meet him, and if anything happens, I'll... There's a car pulled up over there.
Yeah, I see it. 2 guys in it.
That should be Frankie Stacy and Eddie the Lug.
That's you, Tommy?
Yeah, Frankie.
I see you brought company.
You ain't exactly alone either.
I didn't bring Eddie to make trouble. Just to make sure you didn't. How about meeting me halfway?
Good enough. I'll take your eyes off him a minute, Chick, you hear me?
Don't worry, Tommy.
I'll keep Frankie between his gunman and me so Eddie won't do any shooting. You just make sure Frankie doesn't make a move. If he does, don't ask questions. Let him have it.
Sure.
You coming or not, Tommy?
Right with you. Keep your hands away from your pockets, Frankie. I'll do the same.
Solid, Tommy.
Okay, Frankie. This is as far as I go. You come the rest of the way.
Check. Glad you decided to meet me, Tommy.
I listen to propositions all the time. What's yours?
Here you got your stooge, Chick, gunning for me.
What I hear is that you're a little sore at me for cutting in on you. You're supposed to be out after me.
Maybe the whole thing is a misunderstanding.
I wouldn't bet on that.
Natch. Now look, Tommy. This is a deal. Stay away from my territory and there'll be no trouble. Keep cutting in and both of us will be sorry. You'll be sorry you did it and I'll be sorry about what I have to do to you. Latch on?
That's no proposition.
No?
No.
Well, this is. We start working together. Put your territory and mine together. Run things together and split the take right down the middle.
Well, part of that sounds all right. It's okay with me to do just what you say, except one thing. We split 60-40, and I get the 60.
That ain't exactly fair.
So sue me.
People say you're tough. I guess people are right. You don't like a 50-50 deal.
Somebody must have told you.
Okay, Tommy. You had your chance. As far as I'm concerned, we dig each other. The meeting's over.
Good enough, only let me tell you something. Tomorrow at this time, you're going to be begging for the chance at a 40% cut. Spend a little time thinking about that, Frankie. You ain't got much more than a little time left.
Hey, what's the matter, Frankie? That shot was a pushover and you blew it. You nervous or something?
Maybe, Eddie, maybe I am. Give me my gun.
Sure, Frankie, sure. Only you're in your own house. Nobody'll try to get at you here. You worried about Tommy Morrow?
I don't want him to make his move before I'm ready to make mine. Let me have that gun.
Sure, Frankie. Here it is.
I feel better with it in my pocket. Yeah. Now maybe I can shoot a little billiards. I'm gonna try this one off the rail. 2 bits I make it.
No bets.
That gives me all the confidence I need. I'm solid now, Eddie. Plenty solid. All I needed was...
All you needed was what, Frankie?
Hey, boss, it's Chick Lewis, Tommy Morrow's stooge.
That's right. And don't either of you do nothing stupid like reaching. Frankie, I got a message from Tommy for you. He says if I want to prove I'm not yellow, I'm to take my gun down to see you and let it do the talking on account of...
Good work, Frankie. You done it. You got him right in the chest.
So that was the gunman Tommy sent down to get me, was it? Get rid of him, Eddie. Starting to bleed all over my new billiard table. I don't like the green cloth, but I don't think I like it red either.
In detailing my notes on the Sterling murder case, it struck me that the first incoherency was...
Vance, are you busy?
Oh, please come in, Markham. I was just dictating some notes to the machine so Ellen could type them up the first thing in the morning. But it can wait. Just a second now till I turn this off. Glad to see you here, Markham.
Thanks.
Sit down. Your face tells me somebody's been killed.
I must remember to make it a little less revealing because that's exactly right, Vance.
One of those 2 gangsters you were concerned about?
No.
No?
No, it's one of the henchmen I told you about. Remember a fellow named Chick Lewis?
Yes, he worked for Tommy Morrow, and he acted a little like a chicken, I believe you said.
That's the one. We found his body dumped in a lot about an hour ago. He'd been shot. 1 bullet did it. What's the obvious implication?
That he was sent to kill Morrow's rival, Frank Stacy, and Stacy shot first.
But that's not what you're thinking. It never is. You refuse to accept the obvious ever. That's one of the reasons I came down to you right away, even before we picked up Stacy.
Now, wait a minute, Markham. I never refuse to accept the obvious at any time. The point I think you were trying to make is that some things are obvious to me that aren't to other people. Nothing you've told me makes me believe that Chick Lewis was killed by anybody other than Frank Stacy.
Good. That's all I wanted to know. Oh, that might be for me, Vance. I left word where I was going.
There's only one way I know to find out. Hello.
Hello, this is Marcy, homicide. Is District Attorney Markham there?
Just a moment, please. Here you are, Markham. Take the phone on the other side of the desk. I'll continue with my dictating.
Good enough, Vance. Sorry I'm such a bother. Hello?
To continue with my notes
Yes,
on the
Markham.
Sterling murder case.
What's
the
that?
2 sisters were very clever in their idea.
What are you talking about?
But their mistake was in trying to be cleverer in their
be.
execution of the crime than they were
Yes, I do.
in planning.
Thank you. Vance?
Yes?
Vance, that call came from Sergeant Marcy in the homicide department.
Yes, I know. I imagine it was something about the murder of the man who was called Chick, correct?
Yes, he just got the police laboratory report on the bloodstains on Chick Lewis's clothes.
And?
Vance, it wasn't human blood at all. It was chicken blood. Chick Lewis had chicken blood in his veins.
Really? Well, that changes things considerably.
It does? How?
I said before that I didn't know any reason that it wasn't Frank Stacy who killed Chick Lewis. I've changed my mind.
From February 7th, 1950, Jackson Beck as Philo Vance on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Thanks for tuning in to Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Now more of Philo Vance, February 7th, 1950, the chicken murder case.
This is District Attorney Markham. The chicken murder case concerns the killing of Chick Lewis, henchman of gang lord Tommy Morrow. Morrow has been feuding with a rival, Frank Stacy, and it's natural to believe that Lewis was shot down by Stacy. However, when Philo Vance was informed that bloodstains found on Lewis's clothes proved to be chicken blood, he immediately formed a theory as to his murderer. I'm still in Vance's office trying to find out what it is he has...
I'm not trying to be mysterious, Markham. Honestly, I'm not.
In that case, you're being mysterious without trying. That's all I can say.
My theory as to who killed Lewis might be entirely impractical. Yours might be right. I'd rather not go into detail at the moment. It's too possible I might be off on a tangent.
You very rarely are.
It's a luxury I can't afford too often. Markham, I'll make you a promise about this case.
What's that?
Leave my theory and me for a few hours, and I'll see to it that you're in on the finale. If I'm right.
And what about Stacy? You think I ought to pick him up?
I don't know why not. That is, if you can find him. I imagine he'll go into hiding. And Markham, if I'm not right about my idea of who killed Lewis, I'm going into hiding, too.
Well, this thing worked out just the way I planned it. Thanks for your help, kid.
It's okay, Mr. Morrow.
Now, remember what you did. It helped me get Stacy over a barrel, and that's where I'm going to keep him, too. Oh, and you can cut out that Mr. Morrow stuff, kid. Just call me Tommy.
That's okay.
Now, just a minute. Yeah, who is it?
This is Stacy, Morrow.
Hiya, Frankie. You got my message to call me?
That's right. What happened? You decide to get together with me and split the take 2 ways?
Well, I wouldn't exactly say that. In fact, I was pretty sure you were ready to listen to that 60-40 deal of mine. Now.
What do you mean now?
Just that. Now. You knocked off a pretty good boy of mine, Chick Lewis, Frankie.
Oh, I did I? Well, that's news to me. Of course, I heard he was dead.
Cut it. You killed him. You killed him at your apartment.
With my little hatchet.
Get cute if you want. But I can send you up anytime I like for knocking off Chick.
You saw me do it, of course.
I didn't.
I got a little news for you. If I killed the guy, and I'm not admitting anything, you understand, I wouldn't be stupid enough to do it with anybody around.
You should have made sure of that, but you didn't. Besides, you trusted the guy who saw you kill Chick.
Eddie?
That's right. He's working for me now.
That's your story.
Wait a minute. Eddie, talk to your ex-boss.
Sure. Hello. That you, Frankie?
That's enough. Put Tommy Morrow back on.
Sure. Wants to talk to you again.
I thought he would. Okay, Frankie, what goes now? 60-40 split for me and you? Or does Eddie go to the cops?
Tommy, it looks like you and I are partners. Well, practically partners, anyhow.
Feel like telling me where we're bound for, Vance?
Yes, Markham, I do. I feel very much like telling you.
Well, then?
But I'm not going to. All I can say is that we're en route to find the murderer of Chick Lewis. You've told me that Frank Stacy can be found in his apartment, generally.
That's correct.
And that Tommy Morrow, who employed the dead man, operated from a store. I want very much to talk to one of those two men.
I think I know where we're going in that case. You don't concede that Stacy killed Lewis, therefore you want to talk to Tommy Morrow. Is that correct?
Exactly. And if I'm not mistaken, this is the store from which he operates.
And the shades are drawn over the store window, but I think I see some light from the inside.
I'm sure you do. And there's a rather strange-looking individual standing in front of the store.
Yeah. A bodyguard, probably.
Morrow's?
He could be. No, Vance, it isn't. I recognize that man. That's Eddie the Lug.
And he works for Stacy.
Yes.
But he's down in front of Tommy Morrow's office. This is really making sense now.
It isn't to me. Unless Stacy happens to be down visiting Morrow.
I doubt that. Wait here a moment, will you?
Do I have any choice in the matter? That's what I thought. I'll wait for you.
I won't be long, Markham.
Going somewhere, Bud?
Yes, I think so. I'm going in to see Tommy Morrow.
What makes you think so?
Look, I don't have any time to delve into my reasoning with you. Step away from that door. Apparently, you didn't hear me. Let me try your other ear. My name is Philo Vance. As soon as you step away from that door, I'm going in to see Tommy Morrow because I think he killed Chick Lewis. Come on, move, you.
Make me.
All right, I will. You I don't think so.
Oh, I imagine you're right, Vance. You didn't need any help, did you?
Not with that character. Well, as long as you're here, Markham, let's go into this store and we'll see Tommy Morrow together.
What about him?
Oh, leave him lying there. He's a good advertisement for me.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Well, let's go. Vance, there's nobody here.
There's certainly no place for anybody to be hiding. But there's a door leading out the back of this store, and I imagine that Mr. Morrow went out that way when he heard the commotion in the front.
Vance, let's wait right here until you tell me something.
But those questions will have to wait till after our bottom of the hour break. From February 7th, 1950, Philo Vance and the chicken murder case. Thank you for tuning in to Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. We'll be back right here after these messages on your favorite radio station. Classic Radio Theater family, you know our friend Mike Lindell has a passion to help everyone get the best sleep of your life. He didn't stop by just creating the best pillow. He created the best bed sheets ever. They look and feel great, which means an even better night's sleep for me, because, you know, I'm working like 67 hours a day. Now, Mike's offering the best deal on his Giza Dreams bed sheets ever. You can get a set of Giza sheets for as low as $29.98. You'll never want to sleep on anything else once you slept on a set of Giza Dream sheets. A special offer for you right now. You can get a set of Giza sheets for as low as $29.98. Call 1-800-928-4715. Use the promo code Wyatt. Or go to mypillow.com, use the promo code Wyatt. It's good on anything on the website. That number again, 1-800-928-4715. Use my promo code Wyatt. Thanks for tuning in to Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Yours truly, Johnny Dollar, straight ahead. But first, the conclusion of the chicken murder case, an episode of Philo Vance, February 7th, 1950.
You believe, apparently, that Morrow killed his own employee, Chick Lewis. You've offered me no reason for your believing that, or any motive for Morrow to kill Chick.
You're absolutely correct.
Oh, it's about time I was. A few moments ago, you told me that seeing Frank Stacy's stooge, Eddie the Lug, outside this store confirmed your theory.
That I did.
You don't tell me how or why or when this case will be over. Don't you think it's about time you parted with some information?
Yes, I do. I believe, in all honesty, that this case will be over tonight. I believe that I can turn Chick Lewis's killer over to you. And what's most important, I believe I can prove everything I say.
You sure he said his name was Philo Vance?
Sure, I'm sure. And he was looking for you, Tommy. He knew something. I'm sure he knew something.
That Vance is an awful hep character, Tommy.
Nobody asked you, Frankie.
Well, I can tell you what I think, can't I? We're partners now, ain't we? 60-40 maybe, but partners just the same. I think getting rid of Vance is a good idea.
That's why we're here in front of his apartment, ain't it? That's why Eddie has his Tommy gun pointed at the window, ain't it?
And I'm awful anxious to get even for that knocking around he gave me, too. Believe me, I am. A couple of shots from this gun will square things.
It always does. You know, Tommy?
What?
You and I stop our fighting, team up together, and the first thing we do to make the partnership start is have a jam session with a Tommy gun and a guy named Philo Vance. Hey, by the way, you were pretty smart.
What do you mean I was smart?
Buying off Eddie here so he'd be on your side after I killed Chick?
That wasn't dumb.
No, that was sharp, keen, solid. I like having a smart partner. Now, if only Vance would show his face out of that apartment house door, we could go celebrate someplace.
Let him show his face. Just let him show his face.
Get Eddie getting sore. He's got to work himself up to shooting a guy.
Well, he could make an exception in your case if you keep needling him.
That ain't wrong, neither.
All right, I'm sorry.
Hold it, Frankie. The apartment house door's opening. That's Vance in the doorway.
That's Vance, all right. Posed nice and pretty. Just waiting for this.
He's fallen. You got him, Eddie. Let's get this car moving.
Not so fast. Don't move, you three. My men have this car surrounded.
Cops!
That's
Mark's
right.
from the district attorney.
Well, Markham, maybe you got us. Well, we did a lot of characters a favor knocking off Philo Vance just now. He's smart, yeah. But he couldn't outthink a machine gun bullet.
If you knew how I felt about Vance, you wouldn't talk that way, Morrow. I have a good mind to take care of you three personally. And forget about the law.
That's not necessary, Markham.
Vance.
That's the guy we
That's
killed.
right. You don't think I'd let myself be killed just to prove my theory was correct, do you, Markham? After you take these 3 individuals down to headquarters, I'll tell you why I wasn't killed. And how that chicken blood proved no red herring in this case.
You'd better start from the beginning, Vance. I have a hunch this is going to be complicated.
It isn't at all, Markham. And I think I'd better start at the end. You know now why I called you to be in front of my apartment with some policemen.
Yes. You saw something that led you to believe there'd be an attack on your life because you knew too much about the Chick Lewis killing. And there was. And we heard enough while the police and I were hiding in the hedges near the gangster's car to send them all away for a long time.
If not forever. Very well, then. We have that much out of the way. I'll take it from there. When I saw the men parked in front of my door, I suspected who they were, so I called you. And then fixed up a dummy to resemble me as much as possible.
Then you came down, opened the street door, set the dummy up, and ducked out the back way. I gathered that.
That much is true. Now you want to know how the fact that there was chicken blood on Chick Lewis's clothes proved to me that Frank Stacy didn't kill him.
Before you go into that, I think I'd better tell you that Frank Stacy has already confessed to killing Lewis.
Oh, I have no doubt that he thought he killed the man.
What?
This is what happened. Tommy Morrow wanted to get something on Stacy, so he framed the murder. He had Chick Lewis show up at Stacy's apartment, a bladder containing chicken blood underneath his coat. He had already bribed Stacy's stooge, Eddie the Lug, to put a blank cartridge in Morrow's gun.
I see now. I think. Stacy fired the blank. Chick Lewis fell, and as he was falling, broke the bladder containing the chicken blood. In other words, the whole thing was staged to make Stacy think he killed Lewis.
That's right. So that Morrow could, in the future, dominate Stacy.
But if what you say is so, Vance, that Stacy fired a blank, Lewis would still be alive.
Yes, and the chances are he still would be alive if he hadn't quarreled with his boss, Morrow, after the supposed murder. This is pure supposition, of course, but I imagine Morrow's confession will show you I'm right.
In other words, the supposedly dead Lewis was carted out of Stacy's apartment by Eddie. Lewis then went to report to his boss, but they quarreled, and Morrow killed him.
I'm sure that's what happened. It was the only reasonable explanation of why there was chicken blood on Chick Lewis's clothes, Markham. You remember that's what interested me in the beginning.
Yes, I do. And I'll be glad to remember that this is the end of the chicken murder case.
February 7th, 1950, Philo Vance on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, Part 2 of the 5-part Yours Truly Johnny Dollar story, The McClain Matter. This was originally broadcast February 7th, 1956.
From Hollywood, it's time now for...
Johnny Dollar.
Don Taylor, what do we do about Doris McClain?
Find out if she's telling the truth about being legally dead and having her husband collect her insurance, Don?
No, Johnny. I mean right now.
You can't press any charges against her or him until we get some facts.
Well, she gave us a statement admitting everything. Can't we file charges on that?
I'd rather not.
Huh? Why?
Oh, just a feeling. Call it a hunch if you like.
Now, wait a minute.
Don, I don't think she's told us the truth.
Tonight and every weekday night, Bob Bailey in the transcribed adventures of the man with the action-packed expense account, America's fabulous freelance insurance investigator.
Yours truly, Johnny Dollar. Expense account submitted by Special Investigator Johnny Dollar to Tri-State Insurance Underwriters International Building, Hartford, Connecticut. The following is an accounting of expenditures during my investigation of the McClain matter. A dead girl who was very much alive. Expense account, item 2, $5. Lunch at a little place called the Copper Kettle for myself and Don Taylor.
I think we should act, Johnny.
Yeah, well, I don't. Not yet. Look, I listened to her whole story. You listened only a part of it, so get this. She was married to a doctor in Los Angeles, Dr. David McClain.
Yeah.
One night, 2 years ago, a girl named Teresa Corbett walked into his office, a little drunk and a little sick. She had a heart attack. She died. The doctor found a name and a Jersey City address in the girl's purse. He called up the New Jersey address, and an apartment house manager told him the girl's mother, her only living relative, died 2 days before. Dr. McClain hangs up and tells his wife he'll bury the other girl under her name and collect the insurance.
No sense in going into all this, Johnny.
Now, wait a minute. Doris McClain agreed to this. Her husband calls in another doctor and has the death certified. Doris McClain goes to New York. Her husband collects the insurance. But didn't meet her in New York, as he said he would. 2 years ago this happened, Don. Today she comes in and says, I'm tired of waiting for him. We cheated you. Do something to us.
She also said she'd read a notice that her husband's going to marry some other girl. Makes sense to me.
Yeah, well, not to me, Don. At least not all of it.
Why? Why not? What are you looking for?
The holes, and there are plenty of them, Don. Look, for one reason, she told it the same way both times. For the second reason, if all this happened on the spur of the moment in Los Angeles, that is, the girl came into the doctor's office off the street and died suddenly, why would the doctor bother to call New Jersey? Why wouldn't he call the Los Angeles police, for instance?
Because he had the insurance thing in mind?
Well, what do you think?
Now, look, Johnny, I think you're pushing too hard in here.
I'm trying to tell you what we're up against.
All we have to do is verify her story.
Yeah, well, there's something cockeyed in the way it comes out. According to Mrs. McClain's statement, the doctor thought of the insurance trick as he went along. That is, after he called Jersey City and found out the dead girl in his office had no one else in the world because her mother had died a couple of days before. After he saw he had a good chance.
Yeah?
He wouldn't have known he had a chance to pull the trick if he'd done what he was supposed to do and called the Los Angeles police.
Yes, but...
Now, that's important. And look, here's another thing. Mrs. McClain says she was acting as receptionist in his office when this strange girl came in. Now, I don't know about you, but every receptionist I've ever seen in a doctor's office will ask you your name and address before you see the doctor. Mrs. McClain didn't do that at all.
But...
They'll get your name and address unless they already know it. Where's Mrs. McClain now?
Over at the New Hartford Hotel. I asked Sam Benson to keep an eye on her until we file charges and take her into custody.
Well, you can call him off.
Now, look here, Johnny.
Every word she has told us will have to be verified before we can take any action like that. Every word.
I don't know whether I want you to handle this or not.
It's okay with me, either way.
Now, wait, Johnny. You want some more coffee?
No, thanks.
Let's not argue anymore.
Okay, let's not.
Mrs. McClain admitted she helped her husband cheat us out of $10,000. We've got that on paper. Look here. I made a check on the policy. We issued a straight life policy endorsed Mary McClain in Los Angeles, April 23rd, 1945. According to our records, Mrs. McClain passed away February 1st, 1954.
Yeah.
Claim was filed by the beneficiary, husband, David Earl McClain, M.D., February 4th, and paid off on the 10th. $10,000, full claim. Here you are.
Uh-huh.
That's a photostat of the death certificate attached.
Yeah. Cause... coronary thrombosis.
And look at that signature. Dr. Willis Reed. That's the same doctor she said her husband called in.
I know. What else?
Business about her living and working in New York in a medical lab. This is the name of the place.
Mm-hmm.
She said she'd used the name of Patricia Kennedy. Well, I put in a call to their personnel manager. I described Mrs. McClain to him, and he said that sounded like her. Checked out. He'd been with him almost 2 years. Yeah, that's about it.
Well, I called the airport, and they'll get me out to Los Angeles by tomorrow morning. Thought it'd take a few hours in New York to check some other things out.
Sure. That looks pretty definite to me, especially with her statement and all the things she said. So what have you got to worry about, Johnny?
All the things she didn't say. Expense account item 3, $38.14. Transportation, Hartford, Connecticut to New York, New York. I checked my bag at Idlewild and took the limousine in as far as the Waldorf. Expense account item 4, $3. Cab fare and tip. Number 22, 57th Street. Doris McClain's residence, where she'd lived as Patricia Kennedy. Apartment 23. I talked to the manager.
This is her apartment, Mr. Dollar.
I see. How long has she lived here?
Moved in, 2 years ago next month, March 1954.
Good tenant?
Very quiet.
Ever talk to her?
Not much. Christmas time, we had a drink together down in my apartment with my wife. First time I knew she worked in a medical laboratory.
Mm-hmm. Does she have any friends in the building that I could talk to?
Not that I know about. She keeps to herself, minds her own business. May I ask where she is now?
In Hartford, Connecticut, at the New Hartford Hotel, if you want to talk to her about anything.
I might want to talk to her about you.
So?
You knock on my door and say you're an insurance investigator and you want to look at her apartment. I saw your credentials and all that, but I don't know about you now.
She asked me to investigate a matter. This is part of the investigation. Well, if you feel any better, why don't you telephone her long distance? Tell her I'm here. I'll pay the charges.
Oh, that's okay.
Do you mind if I look around?
I'll have to stay with you, Mr. Dollar.
An hour later, I located a Mr. Platt at the Hyde Park Laboratories where Doris McClain had been working using the name Patricia Kennedy. His answers concerning her conduct, habits, and attitude were identical with those of the apartment house manager. I talked to 3 people who had been working with her in the lab. Same result. Expense account item 5, $2.25. Long-distance phone call to Don Taylor in Hartford.
Yeah? What'd you find out, Johnny?
All clear here. Her story checks out about living in New York.
I talked to the coroner's office in Jersey City.
Oh?
According to their records, a Constance May Corbett, age 61, died there January 27th, 1954. Body unclaimed. County buried her. Coroner's office unable to locate the next of kin, a daughter, Teresa Mary Corbett, believed living in Los Angeles. Well?
Well, what do you want me to say?
Coincidence or not, this part of it all checks out.
Yeah, I'll admit that.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Expense account item 6, $113.65. Transportation, New York to Los Angeles. We landed at International Airport in a heavy fog at 8:35 in the morning. By 9:35, I was in my room at the Statler Hotel sleeping. At 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I got up and showered and shaved and had something to eat. There was a special delivery airmail folder for me at the desk from Don Taylor. It contained a flash picture of Doris McClain, a sample of her fingerprints and handwriting, along with the names and addresses of several people in Los Angeles Mrs. McClain thought might be able to identify her. Expense account item 7, $50. Deposit on a rented car to get around Los Angeles. The first 3 addresses furnished by Mrs. McClain were blanks. No one home, or whoever had been there, had moved a long time ago. It was beginning to get dark by the time I got to the 4th one, an address on Berendo Street in Hollywood.
Hello?
Hello, I'm looking for Pauline Henderson.
What do you want?
I want to talk to her for a minute. My name's Johnny Dollar.
Well, I'm Pauline Henderson.
Oh, may I come in?
What's your business?
I'm an insurance investigator.
I don't have any insurance and I don't want any.
Well, it's about a case.
Wait a minute, I'll put on a roll.
Yeah, sure.
Hope you aren't going to try to talk me into buying an annuity or something like that.
No, nothing like that, Miss Henderson.
Oh, all right. Johnny Dollar, huh?
Yeah, that's right.
Insurance investigator, did you say?
Yes.
Come in.
I thought maybe you could help me.
Well, I'll try. I'm in something of a hurry.
Only take a minute, Miss Henderson. I'd like to have you look at this. Have you ever seen the woman in that picture before, Miss Henderson?
She looks terribly familiar.
Is the light all right?
Yeah, I can see it. My lord, yes, I know her.
Who is she?
Well, that was Doris McClain.
You're positive?
Yeah, she was married to Dave McClain. He's a doctor here in Los Angeles. She died a year or so ago, very suddenly.
Yes, so I understand. How well did you know Mrs. McClain, Miss Henderson?
Oh, we were friends. I mean, we worked together in a medical lab here before she married Dave.
How long did you know her?
5 or 6 years. What is all this?
Just wanted to make sure this was Mrs. McClain.
Pictures of her, all right.
Yes.
You know, I don't think you've been exactly telling me the truth.
Well, I just had your name on a list, Miss Henderson. I was told that you might be able to recognize a picture of Doris McClain if you saw one.
Who told you that?
I'd rather not say.
My, so mysterious.
Well, I don't mean to be.
You look nice enough. Is that all you want to know?
Yes. Well, one more thing. When did you hear about Mrs. McClain's death?
The day after it happened. I read about it in the paper. It was quite a shock. Doris was always so healthy.
How did Dr. McClain take it?
What?
How did her husband take her death?
Looking at a picture and saying yes or no is one thing. I wish you'd tell me what this is all about.
Let's say I wanted to make sure this was Doris McClain, and I wanted to make sure she died 2 years ago.
If I'm any authority, you can be sure of it.
How about the other part?
Dave McClain?
Yeah.
He got over it, I suppose.
Don't you know?
Well, I haven't seen him since the funeral. What's your name again?
Johnny Dollar.
Where do you live?
Hartford, Connecticut. I'm at the Statler Hotel here right now. Why?
It just occurred to me. If you wanted someone to look at the picture and identify it, you'd go to Dave McClain and ask him. After all, he was married to her. You'd go to him.
I would.
Yeah. You go to him before anybody else. I think I'll call him and tell him about you. What do you think of that?
That's all right with me, Miss Henderson. Expense account item 8, $3.15. Long distance phone call, Los Angeles to Hartford.
Don Taylor.
Hi, Johnny Dollar. Doris McClain still at the New Hartford Hotel?
Yeah, why?
Better call your private eye pal, Sam Benson, and tell him to keep an eye on her 24 hours a day.
Huh? What are you talking about?
The cat's getting out of the bag here.
What?
I could be wrong, Don. But if I'm right, somebody might want to kill her.
Now, here's our star to tell you about tomorrow's intriguing episode of this week's story.
Tomorrow, a bit of information about a girl who had a date to die. That's right. Join us, won't you? Yours truly, Johnny Dollar.
Yours truly, Johnny Dollar, starring Bob Bailey, is transcribed in Hollywood. Written by John Dawson, it is produced and directed by Jack Johnstone. Be sure to join us tomorrow night, same time and station, for the next exciting episode of Yours truly, Johnny Dollar. Roy Rowan speaking.
You don't get where you are by not trusting your instincts, and Johnny's instincts are prickling up. Part 2 of the 5-part Yours truly Johnny Dollar story, The McClain Matter, from February 7th, 1956 on Classic Radio Theater. Visit my webpage, classicradio.stream, to learn about classic radio collecting, to build a collection of your own. You can also hear all of our shows on demand. You can find our social media links, and you can contact me there at classicradio.stream. Have yourself a great day. Tell all your friends the great radio shows are right here at this spot on the dial. Classic Radio Theater on your favorite radio station.